Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In part 1, that is a previous video, we have talked about chapter number 6, properties of seawater, where we have talked about the first property, temperature, and little bit about salinity. We know that salinity is affected by the rate of evaporation as well as by the supply of fresh water. Let us continue with salinity. Here in this figure, you can see the salinity of the sea water. Salinity is expressed in parts per thousand, and the lines on the map joining places having same salinity are called as isohalines. So you can see the isohalines in this map. Uneven distribution of temperature on the earth, uneven supply of fresh water, etc. affects the salinity of seawater. In the tropical zone, here you can see the tropical zone where perpendicular rays of the sun are received. Perpendicular rays of the sun gives very high solar energy, because of which the rate of evaporation is high. So in the seas in the tropical area, the rate of evaporation is very high. Therefore, the salinity here is very high. So in tropical region, the salinity is very high. In the equatorial region, that is the region around the equator between 5 degree north and south, the equatorial calm belt, which is it is called as, the sky is always cloudy because this region receives conventional type of rainfall. So for a longer period of time the sky is cloudy, rainfall almost every day of the year. Large rivers like Congo and Amazon, rivers like Congo and Amazon, which flow in the equatorial region, meets the sea here. Therefore, as the supply of fresh water is abundant in the form of large rivers and in the form of rainfall, although the rate of evaporation is very high, salinity is also high in this area. That is, the seas in this area are more saline. So, in the equatorial calm belt, the salinity is around 34 parts per thousand. In the mid-latitudinal zone, that is between 25 to 35 degrees north and south, these areas receive seasonal rain, that is rainfall only during a particular period of the year. Supply of fresh water is also low in this area, but this area receives medium sun rays, that is the solar energy that this area receives is quite medium. Also, the deserts of the world are located in this zone. That is why the salinity is very high in this area, almost 37 parts per thousand. So in the mid-latitudinal zone, they will be having a very high salinity. We come to the temperate zone. In the temperate zone, the sun rays are slanting. Therefore, solar energy, the heat of the sun is not that high. That means the temperature here will be lower, which means the rate of evaporation is low here. Again, melting of snow adds the fresh water. So, supply of fresh water in the form of melting snow is here. Therefore, this zone will be having less salinity. The salinity will be low in the temperate zone. Whereas in the polar zone, here you can see the temperate zone. In the polar zone, as extremely slanting rays of the sun are there, rate of evaporation is very less. So the salinity here will also be very low, that is only 31 parts per thousand. Let us talk about landlocked and open sea. Landlocked sea have higher salinity than the open sea. In this picture here, you can see Black Sea, Caspian Sea, Mediterranean Sea. These are some of the landlocked seas of the world. In the landlocked sea, the rate of evaporation is more, and there are very few fresh water supply to this in the form of large rivers. Very few large rivers join this landlocked sea. That is why Landlocked seas generally have more salinity than the open sea. For example, Mediterranean Sea has salinity 39 parts per thousand. Red Sea, the salinity is 41 parts per thousand. Caspian Sea has very high salinity, 155 parts per thousand. The Great Salt Lake in USA has 220 parts per thousand, whereas the salinity of the most saline ocean, that is Atlantic Ocean, is around 35 parts per thousand. If we talk about India, the Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal, there is difference in the salinity of both these seas, although they lie on the same latitude. The salinity on the east coast is 34, at times it is as less as 32, but that of the Arabian Sea is comparatively more. The reason is major deserts of the world, the Thar Desert, the Arabian Desert, is close to the Arabian Sea. Very few freshwater supplying rivers meet the Arabian Sea, but Bay of Bengal, on the other hand, have all the important rivers of India emptying itself there. Ganga, Brahmaputra, Godavari, Kaveri, Krishna, Mahanadi, all these major rivers empty them in the Bay of Bengal. So supply of fresh water is more in Bay of Bengal. At the same time, here you have rainfall from southwest monsoon winds as well as northeast monsoon winds. So fresh water supply is more to the Bay of Bengal as compared to Arabian Sea. So the salinity is more in the Arabian Sea as compared to Bay of Bengal. The Dead Sea. The name itself gives an idea of the conditions here. The sea is between Israel and Jordan. The salinity is very, very high in this area, 332 parts per thousand. The average salinity of the ocean is 35. So it is almost 10 times more than the average salinity of any other seas or ocean. Only one big river, that is Jordan, meets this sea. That means supply of fresh water is less here. Moreover, the rainfall is very low, and this area, as it lies moreover, the rate of evaporation is very high here, so the salinity is very, very high. There is no life here except few unicellular organisms. Fishes that come from Jordan River, as soon as they enter the Dead Sea, they die here. The salinity is so very high, these regions have developed saline or salt pillars, as you can see in this picture. Density of water being very high, nothing will sink in this water, so it is easy to float in this water. One more important characteristic of Dead Sea is that this area has an elevation lowest in the world. That is, there are certain areas which are at the altitude of minus 400 meters. That means there are land in this area which is below the mean sea level. We come to the next characteristic, next property of seawater, that is density. Temperature and salinity are the two properties of seawater that control the density of seawater. Now, density is affected both by temperature and salinity. Now, let us see the relation between temperature and density and salinity and density. Temperature and density has inverse relation. That is, if the temperature increases, the salinity decreases. If the temperature increases, the density decreases. And if the temperature decreases, the density increases. As against that, salinity and density have direct relation. That is, more the salinity, more is the density, less the salinity, less is the density. If the temperature reduces, density increases. That means At less temperature, that is if the water is cold, the density of the water is more. So cold water is denser and saline water is also denser. We have already seen that saline water has more density, so there is a buoyancy to this water which helps the ships and the boats float on this water in the saline water easily than on the fresh water. As compared to salinity, temperature affects density more. After seeing the relation that both salinity and temperature affects the density, but it is the effect of temperature which is more prominent on density as compared to that of salinity. Hence, sometimes more saline water has lower temperature at the surface. So more saline water, more the salinity, more the salinity, lower the temperature at the surface, but still the density of such a water is more. Can you see temperature low? So salinity is, the density is more. If the salinity is more, the density is also more. But on the contrary, the sea water having higher temperature and low salinity can have low density. Figure 6.10 of your textbook shows the distribution of temperature, salinity and density of the sea water according to depth. So your x-axis, in the first graph on the x-axis temperature is shown, in the second graph salinity is shown on the x-axis, and in the third graph density is shown on the x-axis. On the y-axis, in all the three graphs, depth is shown in meters. Okay, so depth 0 meters means it is a surface water, 500, 1000, 100,000, 500 and so on. Let us see this in detail. See the first graph. X-axis shows the temperature, y-axis shows the depth. So at the sea level, at the surface, the temperature of the sea water is almost 23 degrees Celsius. But at the depth of 500 meter, the temperature drastically falls. You can see a steeper slope. It falls to as low as 9 degrees. So with the depth of just 500 meter, the temperature has reduced from 23 to 9. At the depth of 1000, it has become almost 5 degrees. But after 1000 meters depth, you can see an almost straight vertical line. That means after the depth of 1000, there is no change in the temperature. It remains steady at 4 degrees. Whether it is at 4000 meters depth or 4500 meters depth, the temperature is constant after the depth of 1000 meter. In the second graph, the salinity of the surface water is 35.5. At 500 meter, it has become 34.4. At 1000 meter, it has again become 34.5. But thereafter, you can see almost a straight line, almost straight vertical line you can see. That means with still further decrease in the, as we go inside the sea, as the depth increases, the salinity will remain constant. The slope that you can see in the beginning is much gentle as compared to the slope that you have seen in the first graph. See the third graph now. Density. The density of the surface water is 1.025 grams per cubic centimeter. At the depth of 500, it has become 1.027. That means it has increased. The graph is on the other side. At 1000 meter, it has become 1.028. And thereafter a straight vertical line can be seen. That means there is no change in the density after a depth of 1000 meters. There are certain questions. Give it a try. With increasing depth, what decreases? Temperature, salinity or density? That is, density decreases. With increasing depth, density decreases. At what depth does the change in this factor becomes almost zero? That is, after the depth of 1000 meter, the change becomes almost zero. That is, there is no change after 1000 meter. It remains constant. Till what depth is the change in this factor higher? Till the depth of 500 meter, the change is higher. Explain the correlation between these three factors. Let us see the geographical explanation. In the graph, salinity, temperature and density with reference to depth of the seawater is shown. We know that density of the seawater depends upon temperature and salinity. If you see the graph carefully, you will realize that after a certain depth, there is no change in the factors according to the depth. The change can be seen only up to a depth of about 500 meter. The slope of the curve of the graph are varying for all the three factors. There is a very steep slope and gentle slope. The slopes differ, but after a particular depth, there is no variation at all. That means there is no change in all these three factors. Generally, we can call the sea water up to the depth of 500 meter as surface water. Thereafter, the sun rays, ocean current or the wind do not affect these the sea water below. So we can see the movement of the water in the form of ocean current, but at a greater depth, winds, sun rays, current do not affect this property. Therefore, after a depth of 1000 meter, there is no change in these factors. The ocean currents are generated because of difference in the properties of seawater. The ocean current act as a temperature controller. We have already studied that ocean current moving, the warm current moving from the equatorial area towards the polar area increases the temperature of the polar area, and the cold current moving from the polar zone, the frigid zone, towards the equatorial tropical zone decreases the temperature in the equatorial region. That means the ocean currents are the temperature controllers. Distribution of the temperature gets controlled due to the ocean current. Thus, the climate of the earth gets affected by the ocean currents. Thank you.